everyone who's leaving believes that cryptocurrencies are a scam. Everyone who's staying is going to learn that there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that are a scam, and there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that are not. But there is a way to do these ICOs, these, as we call them, initial coin offerings, in a legal and compliant way. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, if I can make my slides work. And if I can't, I'll just talk to you about it. There we go. So let me go back and start by introducing myself. My name is Kendall Almerico. I'm an attorney here in Washington, D.C. I actually live 2 blocks from here, which is amazing because if anyone is around here tomorrow or what have you, you might see me walking around in my sweatpants playing basketball on the courts right around the corner. I was named by Forbes as the top crowdfunding and Jobs Act attorney in the country, which when that happened, I was very impressed. I like to tell people about it, but the reality was I was the only crowdfunding and Jobs Act attorney in the country when that happened. Literally, I was there at the very beginning of this industry, and since then, I've gained some notoriety. People talk about me, and I get written up in all the magazines, which means I have really good PR people. But the reality is, I do this for a living. I help people raise money through crowdfunding using the Jobs Act, which is the law that lets you sell securities online to people in a way that you weren't allowed to do for 80 years. But the reality is, I'm much more of a businessman and an entrepreneur than a lawyer. I go back one slide here. That is the most politically incorrect picture ever taken of me. And I can never run for public office as a result of that, and now you've all seen it, so you'll never see me on a ballot anywhere. But the reality is, I wrote for Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm very much about teaching people how to do crowdfunding, how to raise money, how to do all these things. And in the last year, I have been kicking and screaming, dragged into the world of cryptocurrencies, because what I saw happening was this. 2017, there were, I believe the number is 700 ICOs that raised somewhere in the neighborhood of, $5 billion. And a lot of those were scams. And what's amazing about that is, think about this. If you don't know what an ICO is, here's what it looks like to the general public. You go online, somebody promises you're going to get some kind of electronic coin or token that magically, you just get it online. You fill in a form, there's a little clock going down, and you got to do it really quickly, and you got to give them money, and you can use Bitcoin and Ether, and anybody can buy these things. And then you can go trade them or sell them and just use them like they're, like a share of Apple stock that you bought. But no, you don't have any rules or regulations. It's all decentralized and blockchain. It's all magic. You're going to get this coin that doesn't exist, and it's going to be worth 1,000,000 times more. And you can do this all online, and there's no rules. That's what's beautiful about it. There are no rules. Anyone can invest in this. You can be in your mother's basement and be 12 years old and run an ICO and have your own cryptocurrency and raise millions of dollars online with no rules or regulations. God, does that sound right? It's not. It's not right. These things, in many cases, what were being sold were securities. It was no different than selling stock in a company or selling any kind of investment in a company. Yet people were doing this, not following any of the rules or regulations. And last July, Chairman Clayton from the SEC here down the road said, every one of these ICOs I've seen is selling securities. Every one of these ICOs that are going on are violating securities laws. Very scary. You know what happens when you violate securities laws? You can go to prison. It's not just a fine. It's not just giving the money back. This is a crime in some cases. So, what happened? Here I am, the guy who knows everything about crowdfunding, the guy who knows everything about selling securities through crowdfunding, and that statement came out, and the SEC started subpoenaing people, and class action lawsuits started getting filed, and people were going nuts. Oh my God, this whole industry is falling apart. And then somebody said, wait a minute, why don't we just follow the securities rules? Why don't we do crowdfunding? Why don't we use the Jobs Act? And guess whose phone starts ringing off the hook? I've had hundreds, literally hundreds of companies contact me to do what now is called a security token offering. It's basically an ICO. You're selling a token, you're selling a digitized asset, but you're doing it legally, and you're doing it following securities rules. I've only taken on 3 of the more than 200 companies that have contacted me, primarily because, as Mr. Jane said from the stage here, there's a lot of people that are trying to pull scams. There's a lot of people that think, I can just use the word blockchain and magically raise millions of dollars because of these ICOs. Now, despite this, and we're gonna get to this because we only have 15 minutes, and the last 5 minutes, this is gonna be the 5 rules you need to follow very simply, and then anyone who has questions, I'll be around outside to be able to answer them. But before we get to that, despite the fact that, the SEC is pointing fingers and lawsuits are coming and state regulators and everyone are coming down on these ICOs, magically, they're still happening. This was an article I saw in the newspaper a couple days ago. $1.5 billion in ICOs still took place in June of 2018. And last week, there was a record-breaking ICO that brought in $30 million in 2 hours online. 2 hours. And I was like, who has the male body parts to do this, knowing full well that the SEC is telling you can't do it, that other governments around the world now are doing the same thing, and still go out and take $30 million in 2 hours from people? So I looked at the company. This is a company called Via BTC, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency mining pools. I won't get into what that means. There are concerns that this could be an unregistered security. It's the first article that I read. More importantly, this is a company that's basically backed and intertwined with another company that I love, this Bitmain, who's already been outed for questionable financial stability and possible illegal activity, who announced that it was backed by several banks when it wasn't, and according to its own internal documents, lied about its finances to investors. So, are all companies scams that are involved in cryptocurrency? No. Are all companies that raise money for blockchain-related businesses scams? Absolutely not. The real question is, how do you do it legally, and how do you avoid this kind of thing from happening? Equity crowdfunding to the rescue. I've always wanted to use a picture of Baywatch in some slideshow, so I decided that this was the perfect time to do it. So you have to follow the Jobs Act if you're going to sell in the United States. The Jobs Act is very simple rules that allow you to raise money online, sell stock in your company. You just do it in a tokenized manner. You have to treat the tokens as a security and follow both state and federal law. And because of the prior problems, because of all the scams, because of all these things, understand that if you decide to do this, you are going into this with a gigantic target on your back. All right? Everyone's going to look at what you're doing. My clients that we're doing this for right now went into it with their eyes wide open, knowing full well you're going to get extra scrutiny from the SEC, which you should. You're going to get extra scrutiny from lawyers who sue companies for securities fraud, which you should. And you're going to get extra scrutiny from the 50-plus state regulators looking at what you're doing. So what do? It's simple. Follow the 5 rules on how to do this the right way. Rule number 1, do you really need blockchain? It's the first question you should think about. If you're just cramming blockchain into your business, but blockchain's amazing technology. It's great for certain things, but you know what? I don't need blockchain to fly an airplane. You don't need blockchain to perform brain surgery. You don't need blockchain for a lot of things. And the first question should be, do you really need blockchain? If you invent a rocket that goes up a dog's butt, you probably don't need blockchain. I don't even know why that picture's in here. It's, again, I just love putting these silly pictures up there. But if you want to do a successful ICO/security token offering, you're going to need to have a legitimate use for blockchain in your business. If you don't, guess what? Just go sell regular securities, sell stock in your company. Do it like a normal business and don't have to deal with all the people looking at you in this incredibly scrutinized way. So first step is make sure you really need blockchain and it makes sense in your business. The crypto community will sniff you out if not. Number 2, I'm talking to you today if you're doing this in America. If you're not doing this in the United States, you don't need to worry about what I'm going to talk to you about. But the bottom line is all the butts that I hear all the time, there's the dog's butt, I'm using a SAFT, I'm following Howie, I'm not selling equity, Ether isn't a security, this is a utility token, none of those things matter. You're selling a security in the United States, you need to follow the rules. Rule number 3, there's a lot of rules to follow. It's not just the SEC. You got the IRS who says cryptocurrencies are a piece of property, the CFTC who says they're a commodity, FinCEN who can come after you, Department of Treasury for doing things wrong. There's a lot of rules to follow and you don't want to end up like that car in the ditch. Rule number 4, tell the truth, protect investors. Don't mislead people. It's very important to, I love this picture. This was an actual ICO, and it's hard to see, but this ICO actually had their Code of Ethics Association on their ICO website. There's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who apparently is on the board of their Code of Ethics Commission. Now, we all know Ruth Bader Ginsburg wasn't on the code of whatever for them. However, they promoted it with this picture and raised millions of dollars. Tell the truth. The easiest way to get in trouble with securities regulators is to lie or mislead. Tell the truth. Number 5, the last rule, it's not going to be quick, it's not going to be cheap. By that I mean, you're going to have to spend money to do this right. You can't be in your parents' basement. You can't throw up a Squarespace website, put a little clicker on it and raise money. It's going to cost money, it's going to take time. I wish I could elaborate on that, but we only have a few minutes. So here's my final words. All cryptocurrencies are not scams. All blockchain businesses are not scams. But if you want to do this the right way, right now, all of Wall Street is lining up to do security token offerings. There is a huge opportunity here that people have not seen yet to take the ICO world, that decentralized world, and completely centralize it by using securities rules to raise money. Eventually, and I love to tell people this because I was there when the Jobs Act was created. That's the law that lets you do online crowdfunding. That law was passed in April of 2012. 9-page law that Congress passed in a year and President Obama signed within a year. Amazing process to get that through because of the financial crisis that was going on. So what happens? That law goes in and it says, SEC, you need to write rules so people can actually use this. It took the SEC 3 years, 4 months, and 5 days to create the rules to allow you to actually sell crowdfunded stocks online. Are they slow? No. It was so different, so disruptive to securities law, something so brand new that no one had ever done, they had to start from scratch. They had to go out to the crowd, crowdsource comments, crowdsource ideas, rewrite 80 years of securities laws in order to do this. It takes time. So what's going to happen? My real final words. What's going to happen in this ICO world, this cryptocurrency world, this exciting world that's out there? Congress is going to have to pass a law first. They haven't even got a draft law in front of them at this point. Who knows when that's going to happen? Let's say somehow magically it happens next year. Then it goes to the SEC and the Department of Treasury and the CFTC and IRS. Everyone's going to have to create rules to go around that law that says these are what cryptocurrencies are. These are what you can do with them. These are how you can sell them. These are how you can trade them. That process is going to take 5 years. 5 years from now, I could come sit up on the stage and I'd still be surprised if we by then had real rules to follow in this world. So what do you do in the interim? It's really simple. Follow the rules that exist. Treat these things as securities because that's how the government's going to treat them. Follow the securities laws, get a good team of people that understand securities laws behind you, and do it the right way, and you won't have any trouble. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate it.